He's been around everywhere, and I'm talking about Canada, talking about overseas, talking about the Vietnam. Hey, stop, Ron. Let's just introduce him. Brian Rouleau, welcome to the show. Take it away.
Thank you very much for having me here today. I certainly appreciate it.
We were talking about the Vietnam conflict. And
Well,
I say conflict.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever classified as a war, but
Yeah.
what it was is that when I finished my induction in Syracuse, I was stationed at, transferred to Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
So I went through my basic training at Fort Dix and my advanced training at Fort Dix and jungle training at Fort Dix. And then I got transferred to Fort Bliss, Texas,
Okay.
right where El Paso is. And I was a general's driver. I drove for multiple generals from all around the world.
Wow.
And I had to have a secret clearance so I could sit there in the front and listen to what's going on in the back.
Right.
Not that I understood it at the time.
Yeah.
But I was in our offices one time, and the sergeant major walked in and he says, any of you guys want to go to Vietnam? And so I said, yeah, you know. Like, in other words, I wasn't even listening.
Yeah.
It was like I was tied up with some stuff. Until 2 days later, I got my papers, and the general let me his Jeep to clear the post.
Yeah.
And from there, I went to my first tour, and I spent 3 tours there altogether. So almost 3 years together.
Combat, Brian? Or?
Yeah, we seen a little bit,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of stuff going on. We come in Cameron Bay,
Okay.
and we got transferred to Tui Wa and Top Chan, Phan Rang, and Da Nang. I was in from one end to the other. When I left, I was a staff sergeant.
Okay, good.
And I made staff sergeant in 2 years and 2 months, which was pretty good.
Yeah, no kidding.
Seeing that, but you make rank faster when you're in a combat zone.
Yeah.
And the best thing you have to learn when you get to a combat zone is know how to duck. Because if you can duck, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
The biggest
Yeah.
thing is don't get up and say, is anything happening here today? Because it's
Yeah.
not a good idea. Back into Cornwall here, and one of the guys I knew, they opened up a place called the Aardvark. And the Aardvark, of course, used to be the
It was the in spot.
Lafayette Hotel.
Yeah.
On First Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on First, yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened is that we decided to, Peter Gatien
Yeah.
and Brock decided
Yeah.
to open up the place, and they changed it to the name of the Aardvark.
Yeah.
Took over the Aardvark. Peter brought in now the world famous Rush, the
Yeah.
band, and they did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And Peter had he had it all under control. It was a situation when they first opened up as a disco. It was like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
Because it was really premature.
Yeah.
In Cornwall, I don't think there was any. He got rid of the rock and roll and all that other stuff, and they brought in the disco,
Yeah.
and it started to flourish. He had little Christmas tree lights over the dance floor, and he had big speakers, and the sound was tremendous
Oh, yeah.
for a small room.
Yeah.
And it proceeded to be successful.
Yeah.
But it was an awful lot of work. There was a lot of people here in Cornwall that went out of their way to support that club
Yeah.
as a customer. And by doing that, they accumulated enough cash flow to consider moving into the United States.
Yeah.
They moved down to, Peter wanted to go into the States fairly badly, and he accumulated a few other people to help in that direction. Peter brought in the village people, Grace Jones, people like that. You're like here, you can reach out and touch them.
Yeah.
You can see them on the screen, you can see them on TV and all the rest of the stuff, but it's not the same. They actually get off the stage and they're sweating all over you, and you're like, hey, good to see you, and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it was very fortunate. I was basically overwhelmed. I walked in and sat in the balcony. I'm looking down, and this is a magnificent place. I mean, they had big shows on Broadway, all kinds of stuff. And we're trying to visualize it as a nightclub, moving
Yeah.
into the disco era. We put the place together, and the right people were hired. I mean, it was an amazing staff, and to this year, right now, I still communicate with many, many people, and this is after 40 years the place has been closed. When they opened the place up, from day one, it was successful. I mean, it was unbelievable. We were in Buckhead in Atlanta, which was at the time the premier area of the city
Yeah.
for entertainment and restaurants and things along that line. We had lines up all around the building. We're almost every night we were open. And it was a celebrity haven. I mean, all the major celebrities came in to see us, and especially for our anniversaries. Our public relations people out of New York handled. We had Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, Farrah Fawcett, Anne Margaret, Tina Turner, Rod Stewart, and all of them were in that caliber. You know, they weren't just people off the street.
Yeah.
And it was nothing to have them. Farrah Fawcett coming in a taxi. Muhammad Ali is there. Sugar Ray Leonard is there, and so it was a celebrity-oriented operation.
Right.
All the major wrestlers were there, boxers, well, of course, Muhammad, and we had all the baseball players.
Wow.
Anne Margaret, we had her on the dance floor dancing all over the place. It was unbelievable as the crowd. You know, everybody wanted to get near her. So of course, my position had, was make sure that our security people were to keep everybody away. Let her have all the fun she wants. Don't get close enough to touch her, grab her, you know, autograph. We don't allow any of that stuff.
Okay.